Rolling stinger. Hello and welcome to Working as Intended. I'm Cabbage Mechanic. With me, as always, is Tragic Law. We are your twice weekly World of Tanks stream, hangout, chat, Q&A, therapy sessions, whatever you need us to be. We're here. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. Hope you got a chance to check out our developer Q&A stream on Friday. If not, Tragic Loss has compiled a list of questions and answers into a Twitch playlist, which she will now be put in the chats for you guys to check out if you missed it. Cody Menz over at wattguru.com also has an article up with all the questions and answers for those of you who are interested. Highly recommend going to check that out. And on that note, we have another exciting development. I believe last night, yesterday, was the first day of the Corsair Community League for World of Tanks, which Tragic is now going to tell you more about in detail. Momentarily.
If I can figure out where my microphone mute and unmute button is, I will
Yay!
gladly tell you about what Community League is.
Oh, they're so happy to see you.
Anyways, so Community League basically is very similar to the way that the old esports was run. So if you guys want to see competitive play, I highly recommend that you guys do that. It's super great. So we have a couple of things going on with Community League. One of the cool things is Community League, as you guys can see in the top left-hand corner of our stream, Corsair is actually sponsoring Community League, and we're actually going to do a raffle after I'm done talking about all of this. But basically, matches start basically every single day around 8:30. You can pick your fantasy team basically on fantasytanks.com/tournaments/12 and /schedule. So if Cabbage can post some of the links that we have from our run of show, that'd be cool. We do have English casters. Those two casters are the Love Hitman and Haglar. So both of them do run these matches, and they do watch the game, and they cast those matches. If you want to watch both of them at the same time, you guys can go on to multitwitch.com .tv/lovehitman/Haglar and join them on both of those. We also have a Spanish caster and we have a Portuguese caster. So if you guys, don't want to, or if your first language is Spanish or Portuguese, you can go to Impacto Critico for Spanish, and for Portuguese, you can go to World of Hue Official or Oficial. So those are all going on. After our stream today, we are going to be doing a rerun of last night's matches for the for the Community League. So if you guys want to stick around and watch some competitive play, I highly recommend you do that. And then, like I said, once I am done telling you guys all of this, which I am at this point, we will be running a nice random draw. So these are a bunch of people who signed up for this raffle for the Community League, and we are going to draw two random names on stream right now for two different prizes. One of the prizes that is available is the Corsair, I believe. Oh, goodness, what is that headset? It's a really nice headset. Hold on, I think I have to ask Big Brother. But the other prize is...
Is it the Void Pro?
No, it's not the Void Pro. Corsair... It's let's see. It's Oh, was it the Virtuoso? I think it might have been the Virtuoso. It's really ridiculously good as a headset. I think it's the Virtuoso. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, so Corsair is doing sponsored the Community League, so we are going to draw two names. So the first winner is going to be if I could roll down.
I'm doing a drum roll, but you can't hear it.
Okay, Rapanul. So Rapanul is the winner of the Virtuoso, and then I have a kitty cat. We're gonna roll for the Type 59 that is coming up, and that would be Ryan KTM3. So those
are a cat. The cat wins.
The cat wins.
Hooray! Cat.
Anyways, So those are our two winners. So the Virtuoso and the Type 59 go to those two people. Anyways, moving on, Cabbage, if you would like to
Yes. So we've
continue with
started.
our run of show.
Stage 3 of Frontline has begun. Make sure you get your grinded in for those sweet, sweet expedition tokens. Farming up for those Tier 9 reward tanks. For those of you who don't have any, the AE Phase 1's really fun. I haven't gotten a chance to play the Charfoucher or the French Tier 9 yet, but I've heard some interesting things. I think it'll at least be fun to play. Did we have congratulations to those of you who won the raffle prizes? Warp 103's in the chat. How's it going, Warp? Sorry, I got distracted. General chat. That's over. Sorry. The last day to claim your tank rewards is April 30th. Make sure you visit tankrewards.com for that if you have not. Battle of Berlin 75th anniversary weekend, discount weekend is going on. You can get your, I believe it's an XP conversion this weekend, right?
I believe so.
No, that was last weekend.
Yeah.
I'm behind.
Some sort of.
And today we have the scavenger hunt as well. And today is going to be Grizzly, twitch.tv/Grizzly. I'll post a link in chat momentarily.
Yeah. So, battle missions are still going on, and there's a discount weekend, so that's going to be, I believe, on consumables and equipment. So that's the discount that is going on. It starts today. Started today and ends on May 2nd. So May 2nd is the end of the Battle of Berlin stuff. And then for tank rewards, I believe earning points is already done. So you guys have until the 30th to claim your prizes, and then you have 3 days after you claim your coupon prizes in order to use your coupons. So if you haven't used your coupons, I highly recommend that you do that. It is imperative that you use those before they expire, else you'll be very, very sad. I'm going to tilt my camera upwards. There we go. Anyways, there you go. All right, so that would be that. Otherwise, like Cabbage said, Grizzly is going to be our scavenger hunt person for today. And then for the rest of you, if you guys want to, the Showdown Saturday tank is going to be the 45 TB Habicha. So if you guys want to try out for Showdown Saturday, there you go. That's your tank for the week. Anyways, I believe that's basically it. So we are going to start hopping into some platoons.
Apparently, I'm going 8-bit and you're going full Velociraptor.
I'm going.
My camera's been a bit iffy since last week. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. To say focus this person. Anyways, right clicking. Anyways, let's actually do a brawl. Oh. Not available. Curfew hasn't ended. Never mind. So we can't do that right now. We're going to do a normal platoon.
Hooray!
Yay. All right. Cool. So if you guys want to join our platoon, up first we do have Montague.
I think that's Tahoe and Kwai. Says, seems tragic has the better PC just by stream. Is she the one running the stream? Yes, she is.
Yeah.
My rural internet can't handle the weight of the stream from home very well.
Spencer Hay says, fix Artie, fix Artie, fix Artie, fix Artie.
Okay. Will do. Charles says, Cabbage, I was trying to launch the dev meeting video from a couple days ago, but I can't seem to scroll around it. I can only play it from the beginning, and I've watched the first half 4 times. Huh. Is that from the Twitch link, Charles, or on YouTube? Which we'll wait for that answer and move on for now. But let me know, Charles. Well,
all right.
Sylvie says Grizzly will be putting the scavenger hunt code on his Facebook page at 5, which is 50 minutes from now or so. As his internet hasn't installed at his new home yet. I got this in from his Twitch account. Thanks for the heads up, Sylvie. It's a bummer to hear about Grizzly's internet. Hopefully, gets that installed soon.
Twitch thing, but I've tried YouTube and Twitch both. So if you guys,
I bet it's because the Twitch playlist doesn't populate
Yeah, so sometimes the Twitch plays doesn't populate, but on the side of so if you hover over the video and you hover onto the side, it should bring up the list of videos, or at least it did for me. Otherwise, your best bet is probably going to be the YouTube video, unfortunately.
I'm not streaming from Alaska. It's somewhere in the transmission between me and Tragic, the blur happening.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't
It's okay,
even
we'll
like
survive.
change the region of our what's it called? Call, I guess.
Uh,
Scroll bar is on the bottom but won't let me move it. Interesting. Huh. Weird.
Weird. So if you go to the Twitch link, Charles, there should be a button in the top left that appears. You might have to click that to get the actual drop-down menu with all the different questions to pop. Maybe Tragic can pull it up on her computer screen after this match.
Yeah, I'll try and throw that up.
Hey, glad to hear, Charles. It's actually our RPD's initiative. He may remember from our holiday video, Maxime, he really wanted to get this done and was able to get Andre and Maxime Chuvlov to come along. And yeah, I think it went really well. It was a very nice, pleasant time, and I think they answered a lot of really tough. We definitely didn't hide from any controversial topics, which I think a lot of people were surprised by.
Had to turn your voice down.
I'm getting sandwiched between two Churchills. I'm too loud.
Yeah, in my ears you were too loud, but
too loud.
Trying to balance you out.
Too loud, chat. John says, I love the game, but always end up driving like a drunken sim. Yep, I hear you on that one. Go ahead, Tragic, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. There is no weekly watcher code. We will have a weekly watcher code next week, and I double-checked that is true. The cabbage
by
sandwich.
the way, we have another thing to talk about.
Oh my god, your mic just went
again?
really good. No, it was super weird earlier. I don't know what it is.
Something's going on in the internet.
Yeah.
But Thursday, guys. Thursday, we're going to have a non-normal stream. It's going to be a weird... we're going to have Nicholas, the Chieftain, Morin, and also hanging out with us will be Jeremy, who's one of the top guys over at the Ontario Regiment Museum. We're going to hang out, talk about some new projects they've got going on at the museum, and hopefully catch some footage of their sweet new rides. I know they got a new headset. They got a couple, they got a couple Chieftains in, I think, right? They got a bunch of new toys. We're really excited.
No. I'm shooting AP again.
Hey, Danny, how's it going? Sorry if you said hello and I missed your name, chat.
I don't know why I even have AP on this tank.
I'm gonna blow it, and I deserve it.
Ugh, jeez. Can you please talk to the owners of Girls in Panzer and see about getting crews and voices?
So we've got a mod on the mod portal for Girls in Panzer. I think that is as good as you're going to get for now, because as we've discussed on the stream for now, the preference for the CIS European and NA markets is always have that stuff. You know, this doesn't really jive with the rest of the art style of World of Tanks.
Yeah.
So it is available as a mod if you want it. Also, hold on. Sorry, guys. Got a couple questions here. Toad Hunter says, Wargaming, can you please balance artillery and wheeled vehicles? So the devs announced again on our stream that they are going to be taking a look at the balance of wheeled vehicles soon. RDA I don't think is up for an immediate change. However, they are looking at it with the same shell changes that we previously tested on Sandbox. Obviously doing a different... Captain Napalm said hello. Hi, Captain Napalm. How's it going? LP says, when you remove a recruit from the previous period, the game still tells you you'll get credited with a slot. That doesn't happen, and support doesn't want a recruit from the previous period. Sorry, LP. I'm gonna have to grok what you mean by
jeez.
that. Maladen Dolph on YouTube says, hello, I wanted to ask when tanks for bonds will appear for others. Unfortunately, Maladen, we still don't have an answer on the bond shop rotation, just that it will be coming. Nature Force bought the Mana Core last night. Congratulations. Sunny said, is it possible to transfer my account to North America since I'm in APAC but now living in the USA? Can I play on the internet? Unfortunately, Sunny, it's not currently possible to transfer between. It is something we're looking making either as a service or as a window where you apply and get your. But it hasn't been at the top of the to-do list recently. All Warsa's chieftains make for a nice salty snack when hit by SPG. Ammo Dude says, yo, it's nice to see you guys. Good to see you too, Ammo Dude.
All right, let's go back to garage.
Orange Chaos says, I'm disappointed in Cabbage's lack of costume. Yeah, I should wear a costume.
Yeah, don't you have a red panda costume?
I do. I wore it on the Halloween stream.
Yeah, you should go grab that.
Not right now. I have to dig it out. Probably wash.
All right, up next we have Insanely Average.
I feel like there was a question I missed. Then I just canceled my chat again because my talk.
Smooth. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I Need Cash says the Girls in Panzer mod is outdated and hasn't been updated. Well, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Who's
sorry,
wearing...
Manya. Super terrible that game.
Master Sergeant Ammo says, who's wearing a costume? Tragic looks the same. I Destroyer says, who's this imposter pretending to be Tragic Loss? I am Tragic Loss. Let's see.
Whatever we want, says Insanely Average.
All right. Cool. We could do a 10.
Do a nice 10?
Sounds good, yeah.
I want to do a 10. I just bought a new tier 10 yesterday.
What'd you buy?
I bought the Sheridan.
The Sheridan.
Big old box Sheridan.
So you can go and rush into your death faster, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds about right. Toad Hunter wants to know, what do you think is the best tank? That's a little broad. Personally, my favorite tank, my favorite tier 10 right now is going to be the Leopard 1. It's a really solid tank ever since we did all of those changes to it. By the way, we're diving into the battle. What headset is this? This is the the Logitech G933 Artemis?
Okay.
Artemis Spectrum. There you go.
Artemis Spectrum.
Yes.
What a name.
Truly.
LP on YouTube says the recruit referral period is 3 months. If the recruit doesn't progress, you can cancel the contract and use that slot for another. Okay. Interesting. Shigeo, by the way, Shigeo was the had a comment saying he didn't like their answer to the T110E5 question. What do you think they ducked, Shigeo?
Yeah, I don't think they ducked the question.
Well, I mean, I just want to know what you didn't like about it. Their answer, by the way, basically was they think the tank could use a buff, but they're not going to remove the cupola as a way of buffing it.
Yeah.
And Emmett says, any plans on adjusting the alpha on the Lova? No, I don't think the Lova is going to be any attention anytime soon. It just got some pretty nice buffs. I think it's in a pretty good spot right now. If you don't think it is, feel free to let us know.
Shigeo, they did not say that the cupola couldn't be changed. They just said that their way of balancing was not to just straight up remove the cupola. That would turn it into a different tank. However, they are looking into different ways of balancing it.
Yeah, I mean, can't isn't the right word. It could be changed, but they're choosing not to change it because they changed the M48 with no problem. So the difference there, Shigeo, at least is the M48 did use multiple turrets at different times in its service. So the current turret is still an accurate one, just a different one. Am I totally wrong on? And there was another bit that was pretty interesting about how the T110 series was designed to be the width to fight Russian tanks in underground tunnels in the Alps, which I thought was a pretty interesting. I didn't actually know that.
Oh Oh my goodness. Wow, their entire team.
Yes, we are
Oh
doing
my
tunes
gosh.
today.
Good lord.
My last Twitch handle says it really is a shame how Wargaming manipulates RNG to ensure wins and losses. That would be way more complicated than just letting regression to the mean take care of it.
Oof. So there's a lot of stuff going on this side. FYI. When do you guys usually do live streams? On Tuesdays, we are 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time, and then on Thursday, we are 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time.
All right, no, we're not ready to dash for the trees. There's still too many of them. Oh, man.
Oh, that snapshot! Oh my goodness, I love this tank so much.
I just got ammo racked by a Foch.
Oof.
Almost, yeah, that's pretty much my entire health bar.
That sounds like a you problem.
It definitely was a me problem, but no longer is because I no longer exist.
Truly.
Okay.
What is this prosciutto doing?
People's Panzer says just put the E3 cupola on the E5. They're both 2 and 10 series. I've seen literal blueprints of that cupola on the E5. Hey, that's actually pretty good at take Panzer. Put that forward. Someone had a question, by the way, earlier about the Centurion AX, I believe, and if it would. It's not a meta tank, but I really enjoy driving it. The problem is it's just so big. You have such a big hull, and you don't have any armor on.
We are going to get rushed by EBRs. Oh, or this dude right here.
Oh, we're set.
Yep. And I'm getting rushed. Yep. Those EBRs. Alrighty. There we go. We can go back to. Oh. Well,
we still got Setting the Average holding down the fort in the T110. And his nice Twitch style.
Ooh. So
love it.
Good.
Okay, so hold on, folks.
Ouch, Orange. Why you gotta point out the fact that Azarus is definitely making fun of me?
All right. Sorry, chat's all over the place right now. I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Noah on YouTube says, I've heard of the double barrel tanks, but I don't know much. Could you talk about that? Yeah, so there's a new Soviet line of tanks from 8 to 10 that have dual barrel mechanic. Basically, you could there's a little charge up, and you can fire both shells at once, or you can fire them with a small cooldown. They're a fun novelty that you can do some good burst damage with. I don't think they're breaking the meta or anything right now. Roman says, hello, American Tankers. Hello, Roman. How's it going? Greetings from Austin, Texas. Arnold said, any hint on when we might be getting a tech tree? We just had one not too long ago. I'm not sure when the next one is.
Was that A&W root beer? Yes, it was. How does one get a double bear? Oh. My bad.
I was going to say, Thunder said, is there a change coming? I want salute. We are hoping to add Canadian Armed Forces soon.
Yes.
Other than that, just the most recent changes.
And then Noah wants to know, how does one get a double-barrel tank? Go down the KV line, and at some point it splits off into the double-barrel tanks, which would be at the Tier 8. Ooh, excuse me. Tier 8. And I believe it splits off from the KV-13. Is that right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Harry on Facebook says, first-time watcher from Bakersfield, California. How's it going, Harry? Hope things are going well down there in good old Kern County. We're hanging out at home in Austin. KV3 says the chats.
Ah, KV3, my bad. I don't know why I said 13. And then Dopey wants to know, do we have a checklist before playing, or do you just click battle? We just click into battle. And then someone else wanted to know, how are we holding up personally with the quarantine this far in? I am holding up pretty well. I have been focusing on work and have also been focusing on doing video calls with my loved ones, so people like my sister and my friends. And then outside of that, mostly just gaming.
But pretty crazy. But I was already a little crazy, so it's not a big jump.
It's true. All right, going back to garage.
But generally can't complain doing what, it's hard. A lot of friends and family affected by all the shutdown. And hoping we'll be okay on the other end of this. Jimmy K says Cabbage is snapping and losing it daily. No, I wouldn't go that far. But I definitely am going. I'm talking to myself a little bit in the kitchen in the morning when I'm making coffee. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, I mean, at least you have roommates, right?
Yeah. Not ready to kill each other.
Earl Collins wants to know, what is your favorite tier to play? On some days, tier 8, because it is very profitable, and then on other days, tier 10, because, well, I like being top tier. It's great.
9 and 7 are mine.
Okay, and then Hoboding says, which tank do you think has the best long-distance accuracy? Leopard 1.
Yeah, I think the Leopard. I think there's some other tanks that are probably as accurate, but the combination of the shell velocity with the Leopard's accuracy just makes it...
Yeah, seriously. Let's see. Alright. Videos save the sanity of the radio star. Fair. Alright.
We're also doing a lot of work stuff. We got a lot of special event streams coming up, partially as a result of the everyone being stuck at home. So, like I said, we had the devs last week streamed from their homes in Minsk, and
we'll pick a tier, Cabbage.
We'll go tier 9, just to back up what I just said. This Thursday, like I said, we'll have Chieftain and some of the guys from the Ontario Museum in the stream. It'll be pretty cool. Hopefully, we'll learn some cool stuff about tanks.
Code today? No, unfortunately, there's no code today. There will be a code next week.
Oh, Ruthless, a man after my own heart, bringing out the M46.
Yeah. All right, hopping into battle now.
Yeah, so April codes are done. We will be, so next week we'll launch the May program on Tuesday.
The Bat Chat a good tier 10 arty? So I feel like...
Define good.
Yeah, define good, because, like, the Bat Chat is a really nice tier 10 arty, because you do have the option of just, like, firing multiple shots. But in general, it has... I believe it doesn't have a big splash, and it also doesn't do a whole lot of damage, as far as I remember. Otherwise, most people prefer the tier 10 American artillery as their favorite.
Okay. Guys, I have a really good camera. The connection is with the issue is with the connection, not the quality of the camera.
Yeah.
So Captain Be Careful says, why all the shots fired questions? That makes it difficult to listen to the convo because you have to sit there and count the shots instead. It depends on you what's more important. That's a good note though, Captain. I appreciate that. Brian on Facebook said, will we be seeing a new garage soon? So we're actually cutting down a bit on the amount of new garages. It's not, everyone likes garages and they're cool, but they take a surprising amount of development time. We will have a couple garages this year for various events. So you'll definitely see a 10th anniversary garage later this year as we get closer to the proper celebration. And just to clarify for those of you, since we're seeing this everywhere, and it might be our fault for making it too confusing, the 10th anniversary, the official anniversary, isn't going to be celebrated until, I believe, this late summer, like August. What is happening right now, all the events that are happening right now are countdown events. So I've seen people say, like, oh, this is, like, not nearly cool enough to be the 10th anniversary celebration. It's not. It's like it's the beginning of a 6-month celebration. It's the first step.
So People Panzer says that there's a spike in triple artillery. Can you explain where you got your data from? Because depending upon your, what's it called, how much data you've gathered, it could be skewed.
We're in a singularity game right now, and I don't think the last one had 3 either, but we can keep an eye out throughout the stream and see if we anecdotally see more.
Yeah, he's saying more at tier 10. Oh, we're at...
Big
head mode.
You're big bad mode the whole
I
time?
know.
Ah,
Not the whole time,
ah,
just this match.
big head tragic.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so I think by the way, back to the French tier 10 artillery. My understanding is a lot of people like don't like it now because the nerf was really hard, and playing it post nerf is hard. I still think it's fine for what it is. It's got its high mobility. You got the fairly rapid shots. It has some nice characteristics, but I don't think it's the preferred RD for min-maxing players.
All right. Are you guys talking about Community League? Yeah, we did talk about Community League earlier in the stream. Basically, Community League, super awesome that it's happening. It's really great.
We had a raffle.
We did a raffle. The top winner won a Virtuoso from Corsair. Corsair is sponsoring the Community League, which is super great.
It's the Corsair Community League.
Yeah,
they got their name on it.
League. Oof.
All Warsa's Conqueror GC at tier 10 is the good stuff. Yeah, that, or I know a lot of people will even take like the tier 9 American one over the tier 10s because it has the mobility.
Yeah.
Toad Hunter says, is the Object 279E too good? Interesting question. I personally do believe it is a little overtuned, yes.
Ouch. No. Oof. Ouch. Oh, no.
When is the EBR going to be nerfed? No date or time on the EBR nerf yet. You'll probably see it in a sandbox or a common test before it goes to live. So you have a better idea then.
Oof.
Quantum Gravy says the T92 is ludicrously OP. How could you say that? You're referring to the tier 10 US SPG? I'm just telling you what I've seen and heard from competitive players, which is most of them will take the tier 9 over it because they can take one shot and then reposition.
Alright, hopping back to garage.
People Spencer says CIS. Oh, wait, we still have Ruthless.
Oops. Well, I'm back in
He's
garage.
getting clipped by a T50. Don't worry, I'll do a play-by-play.
Okay.
He punched the T50 back. I think the T50 is reloading now. Ruthless has the side. He's going to get another shot. Oh, no! Second shot didn't go in. Disaster! T50 still reloading, though. I think he's going to be just fine. Takes a shot from an email 2 behind and then goes down to it. But he did get the T50 before dying. Well done, Ruthless.
Well, you two play Frontline mode today. So if we play Frontline, Azarus won't fire off any questions. So we are sticking to random battles today.
Yeah, we've also decided that Frontline doesn't... We like Frontline. We do play it ourselves, but it doesn't stream very well for us.
Yeah.
Because we want to rotate people through the platoon link, and we want to take times in between games to answer questions. Frontline kind of gets in the way of that.
All right. We have Nature Force up next.
Thanks, Anthony. Oh, Nature Force. Maybe you can use that tier 10 he was grabbing. Thanks for the game, Mike Ruth. Good game.
Why can't I stream snipe you anymore? What? What do you mean stream snipe us anymore? Do you mean why don't we do count-ins anymore? Right now we haven't been doing count-ins because we are streaming from home, and streaming from home makes it a little bit more difficult to do all of the things that we normally do on our stream, such as bingo and all that jazz.
Donnie says, whoa, Nature Force, tell him that Cap says hello.
The useless streaming. What? Advocate for the players, work with players. We do. Like, one of the things that we did that shows that we do work with players is we had a developer stream last week on Friday. So if you believe that we aren't, I highly recommend that you expand your reach and maybe watch our streams more often, or go to the forums, or go to Reddit. There are multiple places that you can go to submit feedback and that we contact players on. So.
Yep, I am looking a little pixely, cranky monkey. We don't know what the issue is. It's somewhere between me and Tragic. It looks fine on my end.
Yeah,
We were
Discord
having the
seems
same
to
issue on
be.
Friday.
Bleh.
Jared on YouTube said, "Is there any news on when the Tier 10 heavy tank changes will be implemented?" Are you referring to the most recent round of balance recommended for the E100 line and the T110E5 and the IS4? It's in testing right now, so possibly the next medium to large size patch.
Yeah.
But no official date yet.
Thorland, we will not be in office. No. We are staying on work from home until it is absolutely safe.
Apparently, I sound like a robot half the time I talk.
Sometimes, occasionally.
Sorry about that, chat. Okay, so hold on. Trying to keep up with everyone. Like Tragic said, I believe the official, even though the stay-at-home order is going to lift on the 30th, the recommendation is still that companies that can work remotely should. So we'll be working remotely until that changes.
Yep.
Okay. There's one more I missed. Katamari Democracy says, "Hey guys, any words on the Italian heavy line coming in the near future? Did the Q&A mention something about it?" So unfortunately, Katamari Democracy, it did, and what we found out is that the Italian heavy line is not coming as soon as we thought.
Yeah.
It actually didn't come up as one of the lines that will be coming in the near future. So it is still technically in development along with Japanese tank destroyers, but neither of those lines will be coming in the near future.
Yeah. And then someone told you to get better internet. Where he is, he cannot.
I literally have the best internet available to me.
Yeah. What else? Sorry, I'm trying to look at chat and...
I love the answer about the T110E5 cupola when I look in the mirror. So for those of you who don't know what Amadude's talking about, we brought up chats. Chat has a common theme that the 110E5 could be balanced if we just remove the cupola tumor, as they call it. Andrei Beletsky, who's the creative director of World Tanks, sometimes when I look in the mirror, I look at my nose and wish that I could have a different one, but I can't. It's my nose, which was his way of saying that the T110E5 looks the way it looks and is what it is, and if we changed it, it would no longer be those things. To which many people promptly pointed out that we have cosmetically changed other vehicles for balance reasons. But we discussed that a little bit earlier. In each of those cases, we've been able to convince ourselves that it was a reasonably historic thing to do. Apparently with the E5, that has not been possible. Roman says, "How many players are online usually on your server?" Well, it varies. Before the stay-at-home orders, usually about 16 to 18,000, depending on what time of day. Since the stay-at-home orders, we've been well over 20. Paul War says, "Cabbage sounds fine, exactly like the guy who tells me to drive around the window to complete my order." I guess that's
Wow.
good.
Oh my goodness. Where are my shots going?
That's why no one will play the E5. Nick on Facebook says, "I thought the E5 was fine." I think the E5 could use a little bit of love, and I don't blame people for wanting the cupola removed as a way of doing it. But it's just not the way it's going to get balanced.
Ouchies.
Although I do like the idea of using the E3 cupola, I will pitch
Why
that.
is this E50 on me and no one else? The E50 just wants to shoot me.
Kern says, "Personally, I wish gameplay greater than historical accuracy because it's not a historically accurate game." Anyways, Kern, I think both I and the devs agree, but there's still some strong feelings about like having a completely ahistorical tank of a tank that actually was conceived of and designed, to the extent that the 110 line of tanks was. Uh, I don't know. It's certainly a very subjective area to play with. I'm not going to sit here and
Yeah.
pretend that our game is a historical simulator, because it's not, and
Yeah,
we know
and
that.
then Spencer has a very confusing question, which is why can you shoot artillery out of the sky? I have. Do you mean like why does artillery have a top-down view, or what? Because like I'm not sure what your question
Yeah, I
means.
just bounced a 279E shell from the rear of
Oof.
my Sheridan.
Wow. I don't know how, but I
I
guess
don't
that
either.
happens.
Aaron Joe says the whole Sheridan
Woo!
hull is covered by 3 millimeters of space armor. Does that explain why it's
Ah!
a huge metal
I got
box in the
stuck.
back?
Oof, that was a dingle move. Okay.
We, can we not see the Type 5 on the hill anymore?
Apparently not.
Oh man, we're getting messed up.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, E4 across the lake saw me. Jalapeno Warrior says real tanks were always designed to accompany infantry. We know this game isn't realistic. True, true, true.
E50's coming for me.
I mean, the original conceit of World of Tanks was like, what if there was just a world where the only war was done with tanks? So it was never intended to be a tank and warfare simulator. Hey, Jimmy Carp, how's it going?
Oh no! E50. I thought he was going the other way.
Spencer on YouTube says you guys play Blitz. I used to play Blitz a lot, but not so much anymore. Um, it's still a great mobile game. I just don't play mobile games anymore. Usually, if I'm on my phone and I'm using my phone for recreation, I'm usually like listening to a podcast.
Yeah. So Anthony Ashbeck wants to know: are there any plans to rotate old maps into the game? So and they said specifically they don't have to be new or remade. So Anthony, they do have to be remade. Unfortunately, when the game was updated into 1.0, we had to redo every single map into the new engine. So there was no possible way for us to move from pre 1.0 into the new system without doing that. And so there is not really a way to do that without remaking it. So we have to remake every single map. So there are new and old maps that are being reworked or worked on, such as Pearl River is one of them. Minsk is also getting some reworkings done to it, and then I believe there was at least, I think there was like one other map that was in development or something like that. I don't remember. But
Yes. So we talked about that during the Q&A. Just
yeah,
no other ones announced.
yeah,
No weekly watcher code this week, guys.
nope.
Kim D says, I have a question about the Italian mediums. Is it pronounced Progetto or Progetto? I thought it was
Progetto.
Progetto, but I'm not going to claim to be.
I think it's Progetto because it's Italian and that's how they do their pronunciations.
Is it? Because what
Yeah.
about Buongiorno?
Buongiorno.
That's a soft G.
Yeah. Isn't that a J?
I thought it was a G.
I'm pretty sure Buongiorno is spelled with a J, isn't it?
No, it's Buon, Boungior, etc.
I'm pretty sure it's Progetto. Or Progetto.
TLDR, we don't know. Spaghetti.
Alright. Regretto. That's a good one.
Regretto. You'll never regretto getting a Progetto.
Truly. Is Fjords getting a rebalance, especially at high tiers? West loses nearly every game. East can dominate almost all key positions. It would be interesting to see the statistics on it, but I would honestly believe that. Fjords is a really interesting map. Like, it's been reworked so many different times, especially with, like, the north bit.
I think that's a map the meta's still developing too. I don't think the numbers are, there's a bit of a gap there. I don't think it's certainly not 100% of the wins for the West.
Yeah.
I think it's, if anything, it's more like 55. And even that
Yeah.
is a pretty significant
Yeah.
divide. I don't think it's that. I've seen a lot, the Eastern teams come up with a lot of crazy strats to win over the last couple months
Yeah.
that I think are like a lot of people do like a heavy rush into the pit in the middle
For
of the map,
Shadow. Okay.
and that appears to really be messing up a lot of the West teams that think they can just camp and win. I don't think the divide. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's completely balanced. I don't think the divide is as bad as people have thought and said it was.
Yeah,
But
I
I'll be interested to see if
definitely...
we get stats on that.
Yeah, I definitely generally have issues on that map. It's one of my least favorite maps, just due to the fact that, like, anytime I get to a position, I'm just like, oh, I'm in a fine position, and then I find, oh wow, that rock went really high, and then I find that I can be shot at, or if someone hadn't taken a position that protects my spot, then I'm screwed. And it's generally very unfortunate that it happens, but that's how it is for me, at least.
I think it was
And
Quantum
it's
Gravy, but I'm not
upsetting.
sure. I missed the question. It's already scrolled off my page. Somebody asked what podcasts I listen to. I listen to a variety of obscure basketball front office podcasts. Just a weird thing me and some of my friends are into. And I also listen to a Pathfinder podcast, which is like a Dungeons and Dragons, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about. And it's a group of guys who play together, and they're really funny, called Glass Cannon.
Oh. I thought you were gonna say the one that everyone watches.
No, I'm not a fan of that one. There's too many characters. Can't keep up with it.
Can't keep up with it. That's fair.
Critical Role, I think.
Yeah, Critical Role.
Hey,
That's
Domo's in the chat. How's it
yeah.
going?
Hey, what's up,
Ooh,
Domo?
that guy just got melted. Chat, what do you think? Should we get Domo on the stream next week? Just check in
Yeah.
on Domo.
Yeah, let's
I think
get
we
Domo
should.
on the stream next week. Uh, I love when Cabbage just randomly comes up with ideas and is just like, we could do that, and I'm like, yeah, we can.
Oh, it wouldn't be any harder than having me on the stream.
No, what it. Give Cab Mech a break. I suppose I could stream, yeah.
Jim Dark Magic was a pretty fun character. Oh, that's from Acquisitions Incorporated, right? That's the Penny Arcade one.
There's an E75 over there.
Who is Domo? Good question. Domo is us and we are him.
Yes. Can you still see me?
Penny Warrior would like to see us play some lower tier tanks. You could fit those in. Domo says I can expense that, right? Expense what?
Better internet for streaming.
Propler said, how's the bird? The bird is just fine. Just fine. And by that I mean a total jerk. Cabbage, Monty says, Cabbage, here's some help from seeing the average. Buongiorno, interjection, noun, good morning, good afternoon, good day, good evening, good night. Yeah, buongiorno, the G.
Well.
People don't believe soft G's exist. They keep having to explain they do. Is your bird a jerk? Yes, all birds are jerk. Don't let them tell you different.
It's true. All birds are jerks.
I mean, they're adorable jerks, but they're jerks.
Truly.
Your green screen is messed up in your lower right.
Yeah, it's because he's not in the right place to be.
How about now? What happened to Tragic's eyes? No glasses?
I don't wear glasses. Everyone's been asking that the whole time. Can't believe you guys pay attention that well. Anyways. I don't wear glasses at home because I only need glasses when I'm driving. I can otherwise see perfectly fine.
I was actually thinking about getting LASIK before all this kicked off.
Oh, no.
I might do it.
Do it. Do it to it.
I can't get over the idea of the laser. It's a bit much. Proplush says, any help for the T-54E1? What do you mean by help?
Oh my goodness, this guard. This guard.
Hero of Senlac, I think you've asked in the past, asked us to call you Helen, says, any hint on when the Progetto Heavy line is to be released? Yeah, so we actually talked about that during the dev stream on Friday, and the answer was not positive. There's no, it doesn't look like the Italian Heavy line is going to be coming as soon as we thought. Jimmy says it's not that bad. Ammo Dude says I got it and highly recommend it. See, that's the reason I keep considering it, is everyone I know who's had it has nothing but great things to say. Okay. Some interesting teammate choices there that have me shaking my head. No need to worry about that. I'm gonna come help you with that T-28 Pratt. Mr. Joe Garner says, guys, there's a sale on consumables. Indeed there is. I believe consumables and equipment are on sale this weekend.
Yes.
When is the next tank line coming out? Sometime this year. Alan said, I found it hard to listen to the accents that stream. Yeah, I don't blame you. It takes a certain, oh boy, I'm gonna die.
Are you?
It takes a bit to get used to. It does, like, I don't even notice them anymore, to be honest. Like CIS or Russian or Ukrainian, what have you, accent.
I'll take it.
But it can take a little doing.
Yes. Okay. Our Type 59. Why is our Type 59 so low? Are you doing okay with that renegade or that prot?
We stream until 6 p.m. Central. Not sure when the next RNG video is coming, Crispy Pumpkin. They, I believe it's monthly. It should be another week or so till the next one. Why, do you mean 10 more Soviet premiums? No, I do not.
Oh, I let him on fire. I do need assistance. There we go. Thanks. Someone trying to shoot at me just now?
Scavenger code is on Grizzly's Facebook. Thanks, Warchild, for posting it.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Grizzly doesn't have internet set up at his new place. Probably a bit hard to get that done right now.
I bet the oods is like here.
How are you holding up, chat? We're on week 5. Has time lost all meaning for you? You going crazy? You holding up great? You doing better than you've ever done? I've heard some people are really enjoying this. Having the time to focus on family and such.
You distract that TS5.
You are really low for me, Tragic.
Oh, that's probably because I keep moving my head. If you distract that TS5, I may be able to come in and swoop him.
I don't know if I'm distracting him, but if I see him
He's
again, I'll
spotted.
shoot him.
Yeah.
No, I can't. He's on the other side of the rock from me. There he is.
Okay.
Well, here he goes. He's coming to me now. Whew.
Okay. I gotta push up because I can't see him from where I am.
I'm gonna reposition and try and spot him from the higher part of the hill.
Okay.
Do we know where the other TD is at all? No.
Like here-ish, I believe.
Okay, I should be able to. Nope, I'm spotted. No idea where the spot is. I gotta get out. Who does hit me? Yeah, where that guy pinged is right.
Oh no! That was bad. I messed up. Okay.
I mean, I didn't want to give dudes free shots. I didn't know where he was.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you guys think that 3 already is too many in one game? I think it can be really annoying, but honestly, the alternative from having a maximum of 3 artillery in a game is you get some games without artillery, and then otherwise, like in general, oof, that hurt.
I just couldn't find that plate at all.
Because if we lower the amount of artillery per game, it would make it so every game had artillery, whereas right now there are games where you don't have artillery. As you guys kind of saw with our last match, we had 0 artillery. So.
Weejik says, essential crew, not much change. Jimmy had to go to work this week, had trouble sleeping because I completely wrecked my sleep schedule. Yeah, I hear you on that.
Alright, up next we have Crimson Hood.
Whack the Wombat says, still working, no changes. Grandster says, when the next Axe the Anniversary lead-up starts, will this Axe stuff leave the shop, or will they add more camo decals, etc.? I'm not sure what you mean by Axed stuff.
Yeah. And then 88 Sparks basically wants everyone to quit the game, so is suggesting 5 artillery per game. If we did that, you wouldn't have World of Tanks anymore. Just saying.
I think 5 might be a bit much, yeah. There is no code today, folks.
It's really funny because that used to be a thing where you could have 5 or more artillery per game. It's almost like we changed it from having no limit to having a 3 artillery limit, you know?
So, Jalapeno, we are going to be playing tier 8 again. I will try and get a lower tier game in when we have another opportunity to. But we let the person we're platooning with set the tier.
But without
sometimes
stun,
they let us
though.
choose.
But that's still how it was. That's what I'm saying. If people quit, maybe Wargaming look... So, the thing is, we're constantly looking.
That's not how any of this works. John on YouTube says, are you aware of how unsatisfied with this game your player base is? I'm aware of how unsatisfied with the game a vocal minority of our player base has become. Yes. Not to say there aren't legitimate things to be unsatisfied about, but
yeah.
When we poll the player base without, so basically people self-select for forums and discords and social media and such, right? Like angry people are always going to appear there in greater numbers. But when we do polls on the player base as a whole through the game client, like everyone who plays the game, you guys would be massively surprised to find out how many people don't agree with you that already and wheeled tanks are ruining the game. Massively surprised.
My question is, why 3 already on small maps and none on large maps? It's random. That's just how Matchmaker is.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of... I've had plenty of 3 already games on Prokhorovka to know that there's plenty of 3 already on large maps.
Yeah.
John says, I hear people say screw Wargaming every game I play.
Which is kind of funny. In my opinion.
I mean, again, like, I'm not happy to hear that people are upset, John. But I don't see it that often. And when I do see it, I hope that it's a little more constructive than screw Wargaming.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people who don't understand the game mechanics who are mad about how the game mechanics work.
Yeah.
That's a pretty common thing. We do try to educate.
There was, oh my gosh.
Conspiracies abound.
There was like an old video a long time ago of someone who literally thought if you destroy the boxes on your cap, that the cap would go faster on your side, so don't destroy them.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Catch later demo.
Weird thought.
Toad Hunter says the Object 430 a good tank. Yeah, it's a fine tank. If you want a brawling, heavium kind of tank, decent alpha, decent armor, solid all around. A lot of people still think the 430U is over powered. I think it's weird. I don't know if the 430U is overpowered, but it certainly is in relation to some other medium tanks.
Yeah.
If you compare it to like the 121, in my opinion, it's definitely too good in comparison.
Definitely
for a similar role.
outclasses several tanks.
John says these negative people ruin every game. That's a real bummer to hear, John. I'm sorry to hear that.
Ouch. I'm in a really bad spot. I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna die.
Oh, no worries. I die all the time. I mean, haha, of course you'll die. I'm so much better at this game than you. Conflict.
But conflicts.
Don't know when the tanks are going to change in the bond shop, folks. Still waiting on that, other than that it will.
Hello, Crimson Hood.
I just lost my cat again. There we go, it's back.
Yeah, so we did discuss, Fabled Storm says, by the way, the only actual complaints I have about the game is the 279E and being at a massive disadvantage for not firing gold. So yeah, we did talk about those two during the dev stream. Seriously, guys, highly recommend that you guys check out the dev Q&A. You can, if you're on Twitch, you can watch it here on Twitch. There is a playlist that I created that is literally specifically just the questions and answers. So if you don't want to scroll through, you don't want to watch the whole 2 hours, they are separated by the question that was asked, and also has a short snippet generally of any other things that were discussed if they were on a specific topic. Otherwise, seriously, it is a wealth of information. Some of it's new, some of it's rehashed, some are things that we already knew. So definitely check them out.
I found the tank destroyers.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so just a quick commentary on people who hate the game. There's a lot of people who say they hate this game and think it's rigged, and they don't like us personally, and they don't like our company, and they play this game every day of their lives, which is a weird thing. I think it's just a peculiar trait that some people have, that they get really passionate about something, and then their frustrations with the thing that they're passionate about, causes them to obfuscate the fact that, like, clearly you love the game if you play it every day.
Yeah.
If you hated the game, you wouldn't play the game every day.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate that passion can lead you to, get really frustrated with certain undesirable parts of something. I certainly have the same feelings about, like, the general population of humans. Execrable says, I like the game a lot, but I still don't like you personally, Cabbage. It's fine, Execrable. He made me laugh so hard I drew about and died.
Oh, wow. It's really funny because I thought I was actually going to die first.
Love you too, Execrable. Blue Bandit says, I think that's called sociopathic tendencies. It might be Blue Bandit. A lot of it is people are also, seeking a distraction from their own life, which we all do, right? Like, that's what a lot of entertainment is escapism. And, like, externalizing their frustrations with life onto World of Tanks is a way to deal with those. And it's the way some people are.
So do you want to get that long comment? Or did you see that long one?
Thunderbolt. Yeah. Thunderbolt says, game mechanics. Tell us why we're getting roll after roll after roll after roll for our time at your game. 15-2 is not a fun game for both sides. I've been playing for 12 years, and the fact that you allow APCR for credits is one factor. Tell us again how we don't understand game mechanics. Explain the roles that are constant. Blame the players' lack of knowledge. Deflect and point from the facts. We have money investing. So, Thunderbolt, I one thing I think that happened there is you took my comment really personally, which I apologize for. It wasn't intended at you. I don't know your specific frustrations with the game. For all I know, you do it all the game mechanics, and I agree with you. 15-10 is not a fun game for both sides. It's an undesirable outcome for a match. It is one that is somewhat inevitable for a portion of games because of the Lanchester Square law. But I hear you on that one. I agree. The fact that you allow APCR for credits is one fact. Yeah, so that's I think that is generally something that we agree on now, and it's one of the reasons that premium rounds are in the process of being changed. We recently just tried to change them on the sandbox, and we're back to the drawing board with approaching that issue in the first place. And then tell us again, we don't understand game mechanics. Again, apologies if you took that personally. I don't know your situation. I don't know if that's your case, so I can't say that was intended to be a personal comment for you. Explain the roles that are constant. Yeah, so Thunderbolt, surely you've seen lots of people comment about how like RNG works on a scale. I've heard people claim that if you spend money, your RNG gets worse as a way to get you to buy more. I've heard that if you don't spend money, you get worse RNG because we want you to spend more money. I've heard we change your matchmaking to affect your win rate, and it's just there's no need to do any of that. It would be way more complicated to do that than to simply set up a system where all of those things were dice rolled and then count on regressing to the mean, balancing people out. Because it does. That's a 14-player game. One player can only have so much impact. There's zero. It would be hilarious of us to set up a system that is balancing the win rates of 30 different people in every single random battle. And it's just
Oh,
it's just not
I got
true.
spotted by the SRV. Oh no, that hurt.
But yeah, I've had bad RNG days too. I've had bad matchmaking days too. I agree with your frustrations, and those are things that we are trying to minimize.
Yeah.
Idiot Sparks says Cody made a really good point that when you lose 2 or 3 tanks early, it puts you at such a disadvantage that it's almost impossible to catch up. Yeah, that's basically Lanchester Square Law that I was talking about, Idiot Sparks. Just mathematically, because this is a game of a longer time to kill and then guns, right? All the guns are on cooldowns. Every time you lose a gun, your team becomes less likely, just mathematically, to get the next kill.
Yeah.
So if your team goes down 1-0, you're mathematically more likely to go down 2-0 than to go 1-1. Obviously, anything can happen in a game. There's an infinite variety of context, whatever. But just purely based on the damage potential on the field, if you go down 1-0, you're more likely to go down 2-0. If you go down 2-0, you're more likely to go down to 3-0. If you go down 3-0, et cetera, et cetera. You see where I'm going.
Honestly, the thing that I could say that explains why our game goes the way that it does is if you think about it in a deathmatch dodgeball competition. There are still the same number of balls all the time, but you have more people in one team that can fire at less people on the other team. Like, there's still the same amount on one side, so if you have 5 people versus 4 people, and you got 5 people able to throw balls at the 3 people, or at the 4 people, these people are more likely to lose one than the 5 people are if they all have, dodgeballs to throw.
Windigox says that's not quite right, which is true. It's not. There's a lot of factors to account for there.
Yeah.
What I'm really trying to get at is, like, every kill has a big difference because a tank with 1 hit point is still a gun on the battlefield. A tank that has 0 hit points is not on the battlefield contributing. So there are other factors that affect contribution, but at the end of the day, every kill affects your team's win chance in the grand scheme of things. Pickpocket said the Chieftain did a really good instructional video a while back talking about the effects of focus fire. Yeah, Chieftain's video on that was really great because he talked about how in normal tank combat you actually want to spread the fire out to take out as many tanks as possible, because in normal tank combat, usually the first person that shoots wins. So you don't want to all be shooting at the same tank. But in World of Tanks, which is a game with hit points, it's an arcade arena game, not a simulator.
I can't find Durschlag, so we're going to skip on them. We're going to go to Ruthless 88.
Thanks for the game, by the way, Crimson Hood. It's just one thing to be aware of.
Ruthless, what is your in-game... Oh, wait, I missed the S at the end. But Ruthless, I can't find you.
2 crosses, why does EU have a better pro meta than NA? We can get into a lot of complicated discussions there, or you could reduce it to their population of players is like 5 times larger than ours.
Yeah.
And that puts us at a huge disadvantage. I think the NA teams will come back
Like-
around. We took a bad beating this round of games.
Oops. I pressed the wrong button and I accidentally blacklisted you for a second there. Alright, you pick the tier.
Oh, good. For jalapeno, we'll do a lower tier. He says 5. That is solid. Thanks, Mike Ruth. We're going down to tier 5 for jalapeno. I'm bringing the Sherman. Wendigo says I've held a flank with one tank. Yeah, I mean you definitely have like there's always outliers. We're talking like really big picture, broad number.
Yeah.
There's a ton of individual factors that can contribute to a single game. That's one of the reasons that like using XVM to put a win chance on a game is such a silly idea because there's so many factors in every individual game that presuming that you can project the projected win rate of an individual game is silly.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But yeah, you definitely can, and that's one of the reasons that like the very best players of this game have win rates of like almost 60%. And no matter how good you are, it's really hard to do better than that. Honestly, it's incredibly hard to do above like 52%. You have to be an insanely good player to average above a 52% win rate.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to have a personal impact on a 15 versus 15 player game like that.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things, and we've discussed it at the NA office, is like we would like to add some sort of skill balancing, but not like the way that most people think of it. The way we would like to have skill-based matchmaking is have the average of both teams be about the same, or have, you know, people of the same skill level average between the two. So like if someone has, you know, 10,000 PR, then the other team should also have someone who is at or around that same PR. But most people want skill-based matchmaking where everybody on both teams is about the same, you know, amount of PR, and that is highly impossible considering our player base, and also on top of that, I feel like it would get very boring, and otherwise we already have ranked battles, so...
One of the things the players or the devs have ouch, that looks like dirt. The devs have talked about a lot is the fact that both variation and keeping the queue time short are really important factors that players usually don't care as much for as developers do. But both of those things are really important for the health of the game, and the matchmaker can only work with the tanks that it has in queue. So at the end of the day, you are going to have a couple mismatches here and there, and that's one of the reasons. That's where the XVM guys come in and go, well, yeah, my team had 6 Unicums and the other team had 1. So of course my XVM win rate was correct when it said that we had a 60% chance to win. It's like, well, yeah, that does happen, but let's see. Oh Lord, not the win rate debate. I was trying to convince people that win rate reflects players' ability back in 2011. Convince players that it does affect, because I mean, so basically there's a window where it doesn't necessarily, right? Like there's a window based on not having a big enough sample size, and then just there's natural variation within the window where like between 46 and 50% people can vary just because of chance. But when you get people who are at like 55%, 56% over like 20,000 games, like you have to be insanely skilled to be an outlier like that.
Yeah. And then Toad Hunter says we should react to Awesome Epic Guy's music video Artillery. Aw, man. I don't usually do react videos. I think it's very, very interesting, but do you guys really want to just see us watch and stare at a video for like 5 minutes and then talk about it?
I just missed that. It might be fun, but not today. I'm sorry, I was just thinking about that more, and it's like, I think the issue that people have, and I think this is an issue that happens with statistics a lot, is that broader trends can mean stuff without being applicable to individual cases, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, yes, a player with a higher, like a 54% win rate is probably a really good player. But that doesn't mean that having that player in your team means you're going to win, because the equivalent on the other team is a 49%.
Yeah.
In a specific match.
Like, if you think about it in terms of real sports, yeah, there could be the one outlier game where the worst team in the league beats the best team in the league, but the general consensus is over the entire season, the best team in the league will most likely most likely win a match over somebody else.
FF8 says, I think that solos at 50% can be coached to maintain a 55% solo win rate over a month or two if they're willing to take constructive criticism.
Yeah.
FF8, I will both entirely agree with that and also point out that represents a pretty small percentage of the population.
Yeah, you definitely, like, World of Tanks is seriously one of the most, or at least, for me, is one of the most tactically interesting games because of the way that all of the mechanics interact with each other, but also the way that each mechanic needs to be mastered in and of its own. So if you're talking about getting good at World of Tanks, there's so many little things that you need to get good at, including map knowledge. You need to know penetration, you need to know weak points, you need to know spotting, you need to know camo, and you need to know so many different things all in conjunction to be able to, put all of that together and become a good player at World of Tanks. I feel like a lot of other games, yes, there are strategies and yes, there are things that'll make you a good player, but I feel like they might have less mechanics to know. And most of it is just about knowledge of your skills, I suppose.
K Miles says, you may have already recovered it, but what was your thoughts on all chats? I gotta be honest, I was a little impressed. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah,
At least in the games I played.
I definitely did see people already announce where their artillery was, which was the big issue previously. So it exceeded expectation, but the expectation was very low to begin with. So or at least for me. So, is there a chance you might react to that video? No.
I mean, I'll try and keep it in mind and watch it before our next stream. We can talk about it. But yeah, that hasn't been a part of this stream. All right, give me a second, Thunderbolt. I'm happy to get to your next post here.
Yeah, we won.
Nimitz says a good starting point is getting into the habit of looking at your minimap every 10 seconds or so. True. I talked about it a lot. When Cody, aka the Watt Guru, uses his Tobii eye tracking, the one thing I'm always, every single time I watch a stream, I can't get over how much he looks at it as a minimap compared to me, and I feel like I try to look at it a lot. The really good players are, like, they watch the minimap so much they don't even have to think about it. It's just constantly a live updating in their brain from checking it on the screen constantly. Thanks for the game, Mike. It was a good one.
All right, so...
All right, Bonnie's coming in. Thunderbolt, I'm going to read you. Buddy, I've been around the block with this game, and when I look at my team's overall damage by player and compare it to their PR rating to the enemies, and we're losing a bunch to low PR rating players. Don't tell me it's mathematics. Your RNG algorithm, along with the players' win rate calculated factor into the game. How else could a poor personal rating team take out a stacked high personal rating veteran team by 6 kills? Watch Triss on the Russian server and tell me that excuse when you look at her hit-to-pen ratio. I mean, I think what you just described is kind of reinforces my argument. Oh, okay, so you're saying that a bad team could only beat a good team by having an RNG advantage, which I don't think is true. I guess I just flat disagree with that. And I guess what I would need to know just from your side is the why. Because I just don't understand why what the advantage for us would be to do that.
Yeah. And then Juan Munoz says, should I go for SPG tech tree or tank destroyer? Personally, tank destroyer. And then Noah wants to know, is there a chance for more German tanks? I suppose we'll see. Like, the devs are always looking to add more tanks to the tech trees. Who knows? Add some hot sauce to that pop filter. I don't have any hot sauce to add, but I have...
What German tanks that are not currently in the game would you like to see? Just that I'm trying to put on my dev hat, and I think that's what what like the dev would ask first.
Yeah.
What German tanks aren't currently in the game that you want to see, barring armored cars. I think German armored cars. Some people who don't hate Wheelie Boys would want to see. Sorry, I'm trying to decide if I want to play the Tog or not.
Juan says, "Is the Grill 15 a good one to go for?" I wouldn't suggest that one. Like honestly, if you're gonna go for tank destroyers, I would go up the American tank destroyer line because the T-30 is a really great tier 9. And then the E4 and E3 are both really solid tanks. I personally would go for the E4 because it does have a turret, whereas the E3 does not. Otherwise, both are fantastic tank destroyers. And then do you want to answer... Okay, do you want to answer...
I'm trying to catch up. There are a bunch of really interesting questions. Dave3 on Twitch said, I took 2 years off to play Warships. When I came back, all my tier 10 tanks have been neutered. Power creep is absolutely a thing. I'm struggling with my win 8 and win rate suffering since I started playing. What tanks are you talking about, Dave? Because some of them, like, I agree power creep is a thing. I think it's a bit of an inevitable thing in games like ours. But, you know, we have been getting back and buffing some of those old ones. For example, the STB1 is quite good now.
Yeah.
The Lurva is quite good now. There's a lot of tanks who are kind of languishing that I think are in really good spots now because of balance updates.
Then Mr. Hood wants to know, a lot of tanks were just taken out of the game, so when you say they want to bring tanks in, is it because more room was just made? No, in general, I do know that the devs like to add more variety to the game. The reason why a lot of tanks were removed in this current patch was because at low tiers there was too much clutter, and having too much clutter at low tiers makes it difficult. So in the simple mind of progression through a game, the more stuff that you have at lower tiers, the more confusing it can be for a new player, and the more options make it a little bit more difficult to decide where to go with it. So it was mostly cleaning things up and making sure all of the tech trees were matched the lower tiers. So, like, going from tier 1 to tier 10 is generally the same play style for that branch of the tech tree. So,
and that's what Maxime talked a little bit in the stream on Friday about how and we've been talking about this for the last few years. There's really a goal to have each line, at least from tiers 8 to 10, have like a coherent niche and a coherent role in the game. Yeah. So one of the reasons that a lot of this stuff is happening is just to achieve that cleaner design goal and try to have coherent tech trees that you continue to build on strengths instead of varying wildly as the game was a bit wont to do in its older days. Okay, so CAOR40 had a question that I've been saving for a little bit here. World of Tanks NA, I'm a returning player, stopped for a year or so and started participating in the TRX small tournaments as soon as I managed to get the IS-7. I found it difficult / nearly impossible to counter tanks like the T-95 Chieftain and the Object 279E. They are really common now and make it hard to win anything if you don't have those. Any changes coming to that? Sorry for the repost if you haven't seen or if this question has been answered. This question did come up in our dev stream on Friday. And I personally do believe that both those tanks are a little overtuned. Maybe the 279E a little bit more than the Chieftain. However, we don't have any news on when a balance will be coming, but we do know that the devs are looking at the data of both of those vehicles. And one of the things that they've been waiting on, and I know we're a bit slow on balancing stuff like this, is they wanted to see lower skill players get in those vehicles and see how they performed relative to their normal performance. Basically, how the devs approach balance when they release a new vehicle is they want to look at the delta of the player's performance in that vehicle relative to the performance in other vehicles. So one of the issues we always have when we release new content is the people that get the new content quickly, especially if it's like locked due to skill progression, like Clan Wars tanks or the campaign missions, is that the people who get it for like the first 6 months all tend to be really good players, or like way above average players, or at least the majority of them. So the devs like to sit on the data until they have an idea of how different player cohorts at different skill levels play them. And I think we're now getting to the point where the 279E and the Chieftain are ubiquitous enough that we'll have some of that data to work with. And you've already heard them comment on the wheeled vehicles and how that is also something that they're a little more comfortable approaching now that they have enough data. And I think it's a little bit of column A. There's one of the things that also too, like for example, the Wheelie Boys, is those tanks really reward skill, to the point that average players probably underperform in the wheeled vehicles relative to normal tanks they play. But really good players can really exploit them and do amazing things in them. So it's one of the reasons that it's hard to balance them from the data. Charles says they should give Dead Meat says they should give Dead Meat early tanks and get real player data. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that the devs are really into is just because we have all these players worldwide. They don't necessarily. It's not that they want to dismiss individual players' opinions. It's that they want to see how it looks over a spread of 1 million players, and trust that data instead of the subjective opinion. Which doesn't mean that those opinions are wrong or invalid, but it's the approach. And usually, I mean, I think most of us would agree that being data driven is usually a good thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily make you the most agile thing. Okay, there's an argument in the chat about win rate and stuff. Let's stay out of that. Mr. Hood said the chieftain was given out to many lower skill players last campaign since many high school players did not play due to no CW tank. Somebody said that is completely false. I mean, I wouldn't phrase it that way, but I don't think that's wrong. Like, I think, at least in the sense that the most skilled players already got their chieftain, or at least the most skilled active players probably already got their chieftain. So you do have a less skilled cohort getting them now, but I wouldn't say that they were like bad players. Boneheader said, "Did you find out why they took credit boosters out of the in-game store?" So the reason I was given is that there were way too many credits in the economy after the holiday events. So they're trying to get that back to a decent rate. Avery says, thoughts on the 30B? I love the tier 9, and I think the tier 10 is better off unbought. Ruthless says, do you ever platoon with a player playing Artie? Yeah, if you guys want to play Artie when we platoon with you, you totally can.
Yeah, go for it.
No worries, Execrable. I mean, I agree with you. I think that actually that last point you made was pretty... like I said, and I think I missed that you were having the conversation with, but I think again the root of the issue is about sample size and well, I'm sure there's an appropriate statistical term for this, but like the window where you just don't have a big enough sample size to know better, and then the window of variation just based on luck. But World of Tanks, you actually get the sample sizes that are so big that you have to be a pretty remarkable outlier to have like 10K battles played and be a bad player with an above a 50% win rate. Like that, you'd have to be incredibly lucky. I say, people are like, well, it's not incredibly because it's like only 98% impossible.
Right.
You're not wrong. Depends on how hardcore of a math nerd you are. Demarkin, yeah, the bond shop tanks will rotate. We don't have an idea when. Demarkin. Warchild says, when will Warchild become a partnered CC? So I did actually tell Warchild. Warchild asked if his code thread hit 1 million views, if he could become a partnered CC, and I said yes, and then it did.
Oh.
So I'll have to talk to Domo. Rami says R. Is that the R value? I don't think that's R value. That wasn't what I don't think R value is what I was referring to, but it's not your fault. I did a terrible job of explaining it.
Montague and I are literally, sorry, I need to show you this. Literally 1 point of damage between each other.
Yeah,
I got 1 point more. Amazing.
I did garbage that game. Well done, Monty and Tragic. The Tog carry.
Also, if anyone wanted to know where my glasses were, they're right here.
FF8 says, when will FF become a WAP CC? I don't think there is a WAP CC program anymore, FF8.
No, there's not. Anyways, up next, we have Nature Force again. Nature Force. which he was confused last time because he was on my friends list and had forgotten that we had platooned before.
Alan, I don't think that collector's vehicles show in the tech tree. Do you have to? They'll show up in your garage, and you can see them in the collector's vehicle section of the store. No on YouTube asked, since ACON is over, what was the secret mission? I got it, and I really want to know. Or do you have to keep it a secret?
There was one for HE, and there was one for setting 2 fires in one match. And there was like one other one that I remember. I don't remember the specifics, but I think the HE one was do HE damage or something like that, I believe.
I honestly don't remember it off the top of my head. I have to ask Daria. Here's Invisible Bird. For those of you who are waiting, she just started attacking Maybe you're the reason that my camera quality's been getting worse. Been
Oh my
attacking
god,
the
yeah.
keyboard lately.
Well, you did. You got a little bit more clear when you said that, which is hilarious.
Jalapeno, where's this next time? Can y'all switch costumes?
I don't know. You could probably ask Cabbage to put on his red panda suit.
Actually, I think my roommate has the same dino PJs you do.
Oh, wait,
I might be able to borrow it.
Which one?
You know, the one that we both know.
Okay, we both know several of your roommates.
The one that we both known for longer than the other one.
Okay. You mean Smallest God?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I did see your question here, or your response here. Thunderbolt, give me a second.
Talk to me.
Go
There
ahead.
you go. Oh, I was just gonna say hey to Talk to Me Goose. Appreciate you dropping in on our streams. Anyways.
JST too great crazy.
Just too crazy.
Just too crazy. Dang it! I lost my chat again.
Are you going to be giving out more credit reserves anytime soon? And what's his question?
I'm not sure. I have to ask the live ops guys if those are coming up. Could you read to me Thunderbolt's question since I lost it?
Yeah. Once I get in position, I will do that.
I gotta stop this light tank from camping real quick.
Will you though? Man, there's artillery, and I can expect to get hammered quite often.
Oh, I know quarantine's been rough. Is it that rough?
Okay. Sorry, whose question? Oh, Thunderbolts. What is the chance of a rookie team taking out a major league team at slim to none? Explain how a stacked team with 4 Unicum players I was on lost to a team with no Unicums. Looked at their best player.
There's so many variabilities there. Like, there's almost an infinite number of factors that could have led to that. What if 2 of the Unicums had their internet go down? What if the Unicums were bot account? What if? And sure, yeah, bad RNG could have played a factor for sure. But it's impossible to isolate what caused the loss. I mean, kind of what I was talking about earlier is exactly what you're saying, which is just because there's a massive skill disparity between teams doesn't mean that in that individual game you're guaranteed to win or lose based on it. There's a whole host of other factors aside from previous player performance that have an impact on your chance to win a game. Read the whole question. Was there more?
Hold on. We lost. I had 1 pen out of 4 hits. I looked at the team's hit-pen ratio compared to the enemies, and it was obvious that RNG favored the enemy team on pens to hit. So Unicum players just forgot where to aim and not calling anyone a liar. Explain it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my answer would be, of course, RNG could have played a role in that. That doesn't mean there's a sinister plot or the game is rigged. Everyone, when it comes to Matchmaker and when it comes to RNG, everyone rolls the same dice every game. Yeah. Trust me, if I could rig the RNG, I would have way better stats than I do. I wouldn't play this game 10,000 times and not rig it in my favor if I could. Where were these terrible stats in RNG? Yeah, I'm not trying to tell you that RNG can't be a factor in it. Just that it's not the only factor and it's not rigged.
Yeah. Chat standard beep. Hello.
And RNG is a controversial subject in itself. Some people say it. The common refrain is like RNG has no place in a game of skill, which I agree with. But if like, there's a reason you're not playing chess right now, right? There's no RNG in chess, so go play chess. That's a perfect competitive game, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's other stuff that makes the game fun other than
or checkers, because there's even less. My cats are aggressively cleaning each other.
Aggressively cleaning each other.
Yeah, they like go between cleaning each other and like play fighting, and they're both like, okay, can y'all chill? Hey. Anyways.
Executable says, talk to me, Goose. Says, I shouldn't call you Goose. I should call you Maverick for short. I did the same thing on stream the other week. I realized that he's actually Maverick.
Monkey Lord says, could you imagine this game with no RNG? You would die faster. So, unnamed other game has no RNG, and a lot of people complain that it is a pixel sniping match, and it is more similar to playing Overwatch in terms of you have to be a Twitch, like you have to have good hand-eye coordination, you have to have good skills to be able to do anything in that game. Because of RNG in our game, it actually is a little bit easier for people to play in terms of you do not have to be the most accurate person in the world. You don't have to be Shroud to be able to have a good game. You just have to have game knowledge and tactics. So,
for those of you who have no idea who she's talking about, Shroud is a former Counter-Strike pro and a big streamer who's notorious for being an incredible snapshot Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the, I mean, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I understand where the super competitive guys come in on the RNG thing. If you want to create a perfect competitive scenario, it's definitely not the way to do it. I just think perfect competitive scenarios aren't actually that fun for most people.
Anthony wants to know, what is RNG? RNG stands for Random Number Generator. Basically, it's just a way of saying that a randomized number or a randomized selection, or a randomized spot. So, in our game, you have a circle, and that is where your aim is. That is your dispersion. And then RNG basically picks which one of the dots it goes towards. That's
a couple of things that go into too. Like, RNG is one of the mechanics of balance. So, like, obviously, derp guns have slow projectiles and bigger bloom circles. They have more RNG in their shots.
Skymints, what was your question? Oh, the EBR FL is in the EU shop. When is it coming to the NA shop? I don't know, actually. Probably sometime in the near future.
It'll definitely be back around again.
Yeah.
And then one more thing on RNG before we move on. The other thing my favorite is there's no RNG in real life, to which my response is, are you kidding me? First off, there was definitely RNG just in the not being able to know how much powder was in the shell you were shooting. This is more of a problem for some nations than others. I'm talking about you, War Sabotage Germany and the Soviet Union versus the Americans.
Also, just saying RNG is basically a fancy way of making real-life physics, so adding things like gravity and wind speed and stuff like that to a shell, yes, there is some deviation from right on target. You're not going to hit exactly where you aim every single time.
Yeah, and there's also a ton of other stuff too. I mean, maybe the gunner hit his head while aiming that one. Maybe the loader didn't. Like, there's so many different. Also, and like, even the premise of the question is silly. Like, this isn't a simulator, you know. But even if you were to take it as one, it wouldn't make sense to have perfect RNG in a simulator.
Luck is not a value that is quantified in RNG.
It's a good point. I do appreciate that point. Yeah. He says, if RNG is translated as luck, sure, RNG exists in luck. However, luck is a non-quantifiable value, yet RNG has explicit value in this game. Yeah, it's totally true. That's actually a really good point. It's just that in order for it to exist in the game, it has to be explicit value because it's a piece of software.
Yeah.
At least to my understanding,
Why
my limited grasp
25%?
of math and programming, um, of course, it's
Feel
going
like
to have a defined value in the
yeah.
game.
So they want to know why 25%. That would be a dev question. I don't know why 25%.
Yeah, they would have to.
That's a genuinely good question to ask. I don't know why 25%. It was a value that was decided upon by the developers. So that unfortunately
Skyman says,
can't
"Do we get
answer.
things in the NA slot shortly after the U shop?" No, it doesn't. Skyman's the generally if it's like new stuff comes on sale at the same time or like within a day. The rest of the sales for stuff that's already been sold a couple times. The regions have different live ops teams that put different stuff on different sale for at different times. So sometimes it's synchronized, sometimes it's not, but it's not a matter of order. Sometimes NA gets them sooner, sometimes EU gets them sooner. Uh, yeah, different. Not marketers. So just being picky about business language. Marketing is the practice of getting people to look at and buy your product. These are
Live
live
ops?
ops, is what we
Yeah.
call it. And it's basically the people who are in charge of stocking the store, the
Yeah.
buyers, if you will, if you were to equate it to retail.
Let's go with 10. All right. Hopping back into the lip herd.
See you later, Captain Napalm. Stay safe. My first last Twitch channel says when RNG takes a shot that is going straight and dumps it straight into the ground, well, RNG is broken. I mean, if the ground was in the circle of bloom when you fired it, it's working as intended.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know some people are gonna hop on the working as intended thing. When we say working as intended, when we say working as intended, we mean it is working as things were programmed. It is working within the limitations of the code that has been programmed to make it possible. Working as intended does not mean that it is not what is the term that I'm looking for? Working as intended does not mean to dismiss the opinions and or feelings that people have when it comes to RNG. It's just that saying that this is the way that was created and it is working within those parameters.
I mean, it's an inside joke at this point. That's what it's intended to be.
I mean, that too, but, you know.
But that's so yeah, Execrable and Warchild, we're not doing count-ins while we're doing the stream from home, just because we have that set up as a command from the studio, and we don't have the same luxury from the home setup that we're currently using. It's a bit janky.
Yeah.
We'll try and give you guys a heads up of what tier. I haven't been doing it today because we've had a lot of really interesting questions. Thunderbolt says, I've been playing since 2012. How long have you been working at Wargaming? The RNG is now geared to make games go quicker. Why else the unbalanced maps? Taking credit for APC. So
I've been playing since 2013.
I've been playing since 2011. I don't want to dismiss your opinions here. It's too much in one go. So I'm not trying to like disagree with all of your individual points, but you're kind of mobbing me with a lot of them. RNG is geared to make games go quicker. That could actually be true. I don't know what effect that would have because it would still be balanced. Unbalanced maps, that's kind of subjective. Most of the maps are quite balanced when it comes to win rate per site. Tanks and credits for APCR, that's been around for 7 years. More games, more money. So we can agree to disagree. That's actually true. I can tell you this: if you release WoW Classic to be permanent on the NA server as a choice, you'd see how people feel about the current game and its direction. Thanks. Thunderbolt, I do appreciate you actually taking the time to like lay out your reasoning. That is, we don't always get that when we have someone who comes in that hot. So thank you for that. I don't agree with everything you said, but I think you made some valid point. And I think the one thing I want to stress to you is that the game is not setting you up for win or loss intentionally before the game happened. It may be such that the factors of Matchmaker led to you being at a disadvantage or you had a bad run of RNG, but it was not a predestined outcome.
No.
And frankly, if we were capable of programming something like that could manage, 30 players in every random battle and perfectly doctor their RNG and perfectly doctor their team composition to keep them within a window that we wanted, I think we'd probably get balance done a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Because we'd be amazing programmers.
Yeah.
Which doesn't say we don't have good programmers.
And then Ruthless, you can actually take yourself out of the queue with exclamation point leave. Ah, no. That was bad. You don't have to stay in the queue. Ouch. That hurt a lot. Skymint says, one last thing, I had a 25% coupon and a 15%. When I went to use both, the lesser had disappeared. Some coupons do have an expiration time, so I highly recommend you keep up and make sure you check when the expiration date is for those.
You'd probably be working the stock market instead of gaming.
Yeah, right.
You're not wrong. But the other thing is just like, I don't know. I'm game for conspiracy theories, guys. I have a history degree. I can like, whenever somebody's like, "That's a crazy conspiracy theory," I'm like, do you know about the stuff that has actually happened? Like, don't get me wrong. Most conspiracy theories are crazy nonsense, but you know, when you find out about stuff like MK Ultra or like the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, you're like, you know, crazier things have happened.
My favorite conspiracy theory is that we are all Domo sapien.
Domo. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
But the one thing with conspiracies that you do have to establish is, I think for me to buy in anyway, is like a coherent narrative of how and why. And I just don't understand the how and why of the RNG rigging conspiracy.
Raimi says, funny that Watt devs are accused of both being incompetent and super coders all within the same rants.
And that's a classic conspiracy theory thing, right?
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
By the way, like game coding stuff, not even close to the craziest Watt-related conspiracy theories. We had a 5-part blog written about our shady ties to the Cypriot bank and the Russian mafia, almost none of which was sourced, and it was incredible. It was honestly incredible. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever read. Basically, fan fiction, like really hardcore, in-depth geopolitical banking fan fiction. And I was super impressed.
I don't think I ever want fan fiction to actually be written about me, so. Epicenter says, "Hey Tragic, I messaged you on Discord about starting an NA account. Awesome! I will send you a code after this stream. I will remember because you actually did PM me. Anyways, yeah, definitely. I'll send you a code for that."
First, last Twitch channel said, out of 9 matches today, 8 have come down to either my missing a fully aimed shot against one-shot tanks or a red tank that got an incredibly absurdly lucky shot. Happens way too often to me that an absurd shot result changes the outcome of the match. I mean, I don't want to dismiss your perspective. I believe that happened to you. I just want to point out that runs like that can happen as a result of the game mechanics as they are described.
I mean, if you just like look at statistics, like period, you are statistically going to miss a fully aimed shot, or you're going to statistically hit a shot that you never should have made. It's like on one side you had the person who hit you with an insane shot, and then on your side you had a shot that you missed. It's literally two sides of the same coin. You can't, like, someone's going to have that just like random luck. It's just about statistics and how many shots you fire. It'll turn out to be that way at some point in time. It's just that you're hyper focusing on these instances where somebody else got a really insane shot and you didn't get a guaranteed shot. So
and that was going to be like my final point on this issue is, as humans, we are predisposed towards remembering things that happen unfavorably for us, and that's actually like, it's a biological thing. It doesn't mean you're weak. Your brain automatically does that because we're, for better or worse, when bad things happen to us, we remember them more clearly, partially as a mechanic to help us overcome them next time. And I can't count on a spreadsheet how many times I've had someone come to me and say, "Cabbage, I haven't won a game in 30 days. How can you tell me this game isn't rigged? Like, what is going on here? It's completely broken. I just lost 50 games in a row. What is going on?" And I go and look at their stats, and their last 30 days, they have a win rate of 51%. just it has happened so many times.
Yeah.
And which is to say, they probably did just have a really terrible run of bad luck, but their perspective on that run of bad luck was not the most accurate. And I think that we have actually had several players who have done large-scale statistical analysis of their win rate based on different factors on the forum. Every one that I remember seeing actually resulted in people being surprised at how even things bore out over time.
Yeah.
Oh, Skymans.
So we're
No.
getting towards the last 8 minutes of the stream, and we have nobody left in queue, so we are going to sit and we can answer questions for the last 8 minutes.
Yeah, let's get that. Toad Hunter, if you want to play with us, you do actually have to join us on Twitch at twitch.tv/worldoftanksna, all one word. We have a Platoon Q app set up there that unfortunately we cannot get to work on YouTube.
Yeah.
So feel free to join us on Twitch. We're happy to work you into the queue next time.
Dovak wants to know, why did you nerf the Panzer 1C? As far as I know, a lot of people considered the Panzer 1C to be one of the more overtuned or overpowered at the lower tiers, so.
Bravo says 9 out of 39 over the last 3 days. That is rough. Inadequate Intellect says, you're going to cast the Community League. We're going to host the people who are casting it.
My favorite cocktail is AW root beer.
You know the name of the... Oh, yeah, Edub's Azur's Trivia, question mark? Good idea. My favorite cocktail, especially after events, I like a nice... you know when you go into the... When you're a kid, you hear the urban legend and you go into the dark bathroom and chant Bloody Mary into the mirror?
Oh my god, yeah.
That one. That's my favorite cocktail.
Also, we do not condone drinking alcoholic beverages unless you are of the correct age to drink alcoholic beverages within your state, province, country, nation, area. So
follow your local laws and be healthy human beings. Workshop says he just lost WGNA's Twitch license with their AWS. I'm a big Dad's root beer guy. Frank says Meathead rocks the Bloody Mary. Yeah, Meathead has pretty good taste most of the time. Yeah, no driving while drinking.
Go home, tragic, you're drunk. I am home and I'm not drunk.
Dylan trolling us. Yeah, I mean, we have to stick to certain regulations, guys. You know, obviously we'd love to.
Our game is PG-13, and we have to abide by those restrictions.
Crimson Ed says, thanks for the stream. Good job keeping a cool head with those questions. I mean, at this point, it's actually not hard. The first 2 months that we did these streams, it was. But at this point, it's
you used to get relatively salty when we got some of the craziest...
Well, I still get salty.
Yeah. Less so now, but you did get, like, pretty salty when people...
Tragic. Are you okay?
What? I'm fine! Anyways... Rona. Anyways,
please be okay. Stop coughing. Cranky Monkey says, "Could we do stream from the museum if you ever get back?" Well, I think Jeremy's going to do a stream with us on this Thursday. Cranky Monkey.
Yeah. You will be missed.
Do it from the museum. You're not going to trick us into singing again, Max Strider. Not today. Tragic will start coughing too much. It will be a tragic loss.
To the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
Not getting baited. I'm not getting baited. Not today.
And I said, what about breakfast at Tiffany's?
John Harris says, I'm getting back into tanking. Can you summarize the current meta? So it depends on what tier. The tier 10 meta is a lot of 279E and 295 Chieftain hold down sniping. The meta of the game in general has moved. I would agree that it's a bit quicker. I think that's a function of the tank lines that have been released more than like RNG being manipulated.
Like
the Italian mediums are really popular.
Yeah, well, because the meta used to be like heavily armored tanks, and then it kind of moved into mobility, especially with like maps being, or like more maps being introduced that were like open fields and stuff like that. And so being able to be mobile and move into the enemy lines or move into positions that gave you a high advantage, that definitely helped out. Like if you look at the old pro league stuff, a lot of times they would go for the more mobile tanks, and only in times where heavily city maps were played would you tend to see more often heavily armored tanks. Like the meta was already transitioning into, I think, a faster play style, even like before wheeled tanks were introduced.
So, I mean, that's almost a universal law of games too, is that all other things reasonably considered, mobility ends up being king because concentration of damage ends up being really important in stuff like MOBAs. And obviously, World of Tanks is not a MOBA, but like in a broad sense, it is. It's an arena-based multiplayer combat game.
Yeah.
So for the same reasons that like in League of Legends or Dota, having a lot of high mobility champions that can congregate in one area and focus one
Yeah.
champion will be ultimately be more effective than having
Yeah.
slower champions
Especially being able to move from
or
one
tanks in this
position to
case.
another position, you need that mobility to be able to counter plays. Like if you look at old play styles of like Pro League, you would always see like one tank going from one side of the map to the other side of the map and using that mobility to counter someone who had changed even slight positions. Like moving from one grid square to another, like even if they are right next to each other, sometimes you would need to move a tank like 5 grid squares just to be able to counter that one person. And those are the kinds of things that, you know, contributed, I think, to the faster playstyle and the introduction of more mobile tanks as well. And, you know, updates to maps. Sometimes the meta changes with that, and it seems like the meta has gone towards, like we said, faster tanks. So
Yeah, and I would say mediums are still quite strong. They
yeah.
changed a little bit of the T62 and the Batchat. I think of the Batchat's still relevant in situations. 62A2, the 140 is
Yeah.
still pretty strong. The 907 is really good. The Progetto, the Tier 10 Italian is really good. There's a lot of the more mobile heavies are seen a lot, like the
Yeah.
WZ5A, which is the new, you might not have seen it last. Chinese heavy is really good. The Object 277 is a newer Soviet Tier 10 heavy that's really good. And those are both on like they're faster and less armored than traditional heavies, but not quite enough to be proper medium.
Yeah, and then we had a question from Doc Vegas. Does Wargaming track revenue per player? Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
there is
totally.
any gaming company that does not.
True. Correct. Every business, everybody that's doing business online, which is almost everyone these days, is tracking stuff like that. It's not definitely not even unique just to the gaming industry. Toad Hunter says, does the standard be a good tank? Yeah, quite good, quite good. Propler says US mediums suck. Disagree. They're not necessarily meta, but they're good all-rounders.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not meta, that's for sure. Dova King says, please remove the 279E. Removal's probably not going to happen. Balance could happen. EBRs are really strong in the right hands. But again, I think the average player probably underperforms them relative to their normal performance. Because they take some, you have to have pretty high quality game mechanics and map knowledge to really get the wheeled vehicles to their potential. Warchild says, does Amazon keep a record of what I bought? They track way more than what you buy. They track when you bought it, how you bought it, what you looked at before you bought it. Big data is real. Be aware of it, guys. iDestroyer says bring back all chat. Oh, I was going to say that earlier when we had the conversation about all chat. I actually think that I think we could have all chat back as once we can separate alive and dead people.
Yeah.
It's,
The only
at this
issue
point,
that I see though is when an alive person will still like tell someone where someone else is before they die. That's the only issue that I see.
All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. John, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you. Just so you know, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday at 4 to 6 p.m. Central and Thursday at 6 to 8 p.m. Central. On that note, I think we're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Reminder, we're going to have a non-traditional stream. We're going to have some of the folks from the Ontario Regiment Museum popping in. We're going to have Nick, the Chieftain Morian here. We're going to have a discussion about real tanks more than World of Tanks on Thursday. So if you're into that, please stop on by. If you're not into that, be aware. We'll see you next Tuesday, maybe.
Yeah. And then, otherwise, if you are here on Twitch, give me a minute, and you guys will actually be watching a rerun of the Community League matches from last night. So if you guys would like to stick around, please do. Otherwise, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and yeah. Any
really
last words?
good costumes, by the way. Watch out for the costumes.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. See you guys on Thursday.